Now, with certain diets, we can lead to nutrient deficiencies, right? I mean, if people are doing a ketogenic diet or paleo diet or a low histamine diet or a low oxalate diet, there can be all these nutrient deficiencies that occur. So we want to make sure that we're replenishing the body, making sure that we're not missing something here. When it comes to medications, Dad, let's address that really quickly for our listeners. What are some medications that you want to talk about that lead to nutrient deficiencies?
Well, one of the ones that comes to my mind, because I dealt with it for years, was young women on birth control pills who were deficient in B vitamins. I mean, it was scary stuff.
Yeah.
And I saw that. And finally, the medical profession, got smart, because remember, for years, they didn't recommend vitamin and mineral supplementation. But boy, pregnant women, they needed folic acid. They needed B vitamin support. And I remember seeing that. And, fortunately, when I started to administer vitamins and minerals early, even the pregnant women, given broad vitamin and mineral support, this was a lifesaver for lots of women because, again, I mean, in this day and age, with electromagnetics and insecticides and pesticides and heavy metals in the environment, having a healthy child is really a struggle today. It's a lot more difficult today than it was, decades ago.
Yeah, that's so true. And those birth control pills too, they deplete vitamin C and magnesium and zinc as well, not just the B vitamins. So
right.
We've had millions of women on birth control pills. Now, another medication that people take often is a PPI, which is a proton pump inhibitor. And these are life-saving medications in terms of people are having an ulcer or they're having a really bad heartburn or they're having gastritis or dyspepsia. It can certainly just calm down those symptoms and get things under control. However, they're prescribed long-term now, right? And they're designed to be on a short-term course, but they're given for years and even decades. And I've had people that have been on these medications for 20 years. And so now we know from research that if you're on a PPI, which essentially suppresses your endogenous production of hydrochloric acid, you're going to be more susceptible to fractures or pneumonia or even Clostridium difficile associated diarrhea. So there's lots of long-term ramifications of being on these medications. And these medications as well, the PPIs, also deplete B vitamins and vitamin C and calcium and magnesium as well. So if people are on them, we got to make sure that we're replenishing with a good multivitamin to help those levels.
Right. And I'm so glad you mentioned magnesium. I mean, Drew, as a heart specialist, I am privy to the benefits of magnesium because I used magnesium in the CCU in my early 30s for, horrible refractory, what we call ventricular tachyarrhythmias that were life-threatening. So I sort of grasped the utility of magnesium very early. And let's face it, magnesium has been depleted in the soils for not centuries, but decades. But centuries ago, the soils were replete with magnesium. But the last, I would say, 5 to 6 decades, for some reason, magnesium is depleted, and magnesium deficiencies are rampant in the population. Now, people don't come in and say, "Oh, we have a magnesium deficiency." They come in with possible arrhythmia, possible high blood pressure. In other words, situations like that, or insulin resistance. And I have to tell you that when I was at a CoQ10 meeting, maybe it was about 12 to 13 years ago, one of the Australian researchers spoke about the benefits of magnesium orotate. And I'll tell you, I was blown away by this. I mean, it was amazing. But I can tell you, I am so glad that Healthy Directions, took the lead with magnesium, because when you use Krebs cycle magnesium components and combine it with magnesium orotate, now you're getting the magnesium Krebs cycle components that you really need, because it's not just taking grandma used to give us, magnesium oxide and milk of magnesia. I don't know if you remember that, but basically
right through,
magnesium oxide stimulates the bowel. You don't really absorb it into the bloodstream.
Yeah.
So when it comes to magnesium, we need these Krebs cycle components that are vitally important. And I was so glad that the Australians introduced me to orotate, over a decade ago.
And Dad, do you think most people should be taking magnesium at this point? I would say so.
Everybody. I think this is the unsung hero. This is the one, mineral that I believe we're all depleted in. Now, here's the problem. A lot of doctors check, magnesium, but they check it in the serum. In order to be low in the serum, it's got to be drastically low. You must check an RBC, a red blood cell magnesium, to see if you're depleted in magnesium. And if you're depleted in the red blood cells, then you're really depleted in magnesium. So No, I take magnesium every night. You know, Drew, I think I mentioned this before on a broadcast. I brush my teeth every night, right? And, you know, when I use my water chaser, I swallow 2 capsules of my broad spectrum magnesium. So it's like clockwork. I take it every night before bedtime.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I take a sustained release magnesium at night with some CBD, and I have the best sleep ever. I mean, for me, that's my combination.
Well, you know, that's one of the aspects of magnesium. Some people, my patients used to tell me that, Doc, since you put me on magnesium at night, I sleep better.
No, it's so
and
true.
With all the electromagnetics and all the melatonin depletion, you know, from all the EMF in the environment, you know, we need to sleep better. So if magnesium helps these people, you know, so be it.
All right. Well, we talked about birth control. We talked about PPIs. And lastly, I wanted to mention statins. We got to talk about statins now in CoQ10 deficiency. So tell us, Dan, I mean, how bad is CoQ10 depletion with statins? How bad is that?
It's bad, but it didn't come out until the late 1980s. And when I was chief of cardiology at my institution, I used to lecture on statins all the time. I mean, I was a choir boy for statins because I bought the hook, line, and sinker of the statin, you know, well, story, so to speak. But when this article came out of India showing that statins depleted CoQ10, I go, whoa, I stepped back and I said, how can that be? How can, you know, a pharmaceutical that's allegedly so good for the heart deplete the most important vital nutrient for the heart? So after that, I stopped lecturing for Merck and Pfizer, and basically, you know, I became the choir boy on CoQ10. I really did. And unfortunately, CoQ10 shares the same biochemical pathway as cholesterol. So if you use a cholesterol killer, you're going to knock out that pathway. And that's why so many patients, you know, they don't come into the doctor's office, Drew, and say, oh, Doc, I'm having a statin complication. No, they come in and go, Doc, I don't have the energy. I don't have the bounce in my step. I can't get out of a chair. I'm weak in my quads. I can't figure it out. I can't play doubles tennis anymore. Those are the complaints I heard. And my first remark was, by the way, does your internist have you on a statin for your cholesterol? And 99% of them would say, yes, they do. So that's how, you know, I interrogated these people because of their symptoms, you know, when they used to share their lifestyle. And again, we started talking about lifestyle. You know, lifestyle is so important. And that's why lifestyle is a big aspect of really conventional and alternative cardiology.